Welcome back to the Sportsmore Sofa. We're here to give out our awards for the World Cup. Lionel Messi won FIFA's award for the best player, but do you agree with that?
No, I mean, he scored 4 goals, didn't he? But in the knockout stages, didn't really influence the game, didn't really influence the final. For me, I agree with Jose Mourinho that it was Iron Robin and there were a lot of good stand-up performers, but I think him in the early stages and okay, he didn't really massively influence the knockout stage games, but he was always dangerous and he was always threatening, he was always doing something. He got a bit of stick for diving, but okay, he did dive a couple of times, but the other times he was brought down and he was very good for me. And his performances was much better than I thought they would be.
Robin did look dangerous every time he got the ball. For me, the best player was James Rodriguez for Colombia. I mean, he just played so well in every single game and he helped Colombia come surprise packages. I mean, a lot of people had them as favourites to beat Brazil when they came up against them, eventually went out. James Rodriguez was, not many people expected him to be amongst the best players as well, so that factor as well. For me, he was the best player of the tournament. Messi getting the golden ball, yeah, I don't think he was the best player. I think people do tend to underrate his performance because he wasn't at his brilliant best, but he still dragged Argentina all the way to the final. They wouldn't have got through the groups without him. But yeah, for me, it was Rodriguez.
Yeah, I agree with you. For me, it was Rodriguez. I know he went out in the quarterfinals, but he was the standout individual for me. You usually might say that someone in the winners would be the best player, but Germany were just such a strong team. I don't think any of their players particularly should have won the award, but for me, Rodriguez, and I had Rodriguez scoring the best goal as well. I mean, the way he took that down and volleyed it, it was just beautiful. That was the best goal for me. What about you?
Technique-wise, I'd agree that was the best goal, but for me, just Cahill's volley, those are the sort of goals I love, just coming over the shoulder, volleying it first time, hitting it so sweetly, once-in-a-lifetime shot. For me, that was goal of the tournament.
I wouldn't disagree, those two were unbelievable goals. Mine's a little bit different. It's the Van Persie header in the Spain game. It was the fact that he had so long to think about what he was going to do. I mean, he could have brought it down his chest. I thought he was going to bring it down his chest, but it was an outrageous attempt, wasn't it, to head the ball from a Daley Blind, 50-yard pass, to head it in the top corner was just, and the celebration afterwards was great as well, when he was going out to Van Gaal and stuff. That was, for me, the best.
Okay, from the best to the worst, who was the worst player of the tournament for you?
I know Brazil got to the semi-finals, but Fred, for me, was consistently disappointing. He got 5 goals in the Confederations Cup last season, but as number 9 for Brazil, you need more movement about you. You need to make more of a contribution than that. Brazil at times looked like a one-man team with Neymar, and that Fred just didn't help at all. He was poor for me throughout.
Yeah, I've got to agree as well. It was Fred, like you say, he scored 5 goals last summer. He scored once this summer, but he was so bad in all the games that he didn't offer anything. Fair enough, he didn't always have to influence the game in terms of goals, but he just didn't move, did he? You look at his performances, and he was always, okay, he's a box player anyway, but he didn't make runs, did he? He didn't create space, and that's why Hulk struggled as well. Hulk was bad, but he struggled because he had no space. There was no everyone. And when if you're a centre back, you want someone like Fred, don't you? He was standing there because you know he's not going to move. Yeah. He was bad.
I think it seems worse for Brazil's the past strikers they've had.
Ronaldo,
and people like that. And Fred is just a million miles away from that.
For me, I mean, you talk about the worst player. Fred was bad, but in terms of, I think, underwhelming, I look at Eden Hazard for Belgium. I know in Belgium they got to the quarterfinals, but Hazard, he really underwhelmed. I can't think of when he was really at his best in any of the games at all. I mean, all the other top players, they all had their moments, but Hazard, he really underwhelmed for me. You agree?
I do agree he underwhelmed. I think Belgium are more of a more big and solid of a team than we expected, because they've got players like Hazard who can play with flair, can play exciting football, but they didn't do that at all, I don't think.
I think last season as well, people were comparing Hazard to like Lionel Messi and Ronaldo, and that's just, he's a million miles away from those players. He's nowhere near. Okay, he's going to be a very good player, but this was supposed to be his World Cup to burst onto the scene and take a game. He was good last season with Chelsea, but he had moments where he wasn't great, and he wasn't great this summer.
You look at what Rodriguez did, and then you look at what Hazard did. It was completely different. I mean, what was the best moment for you in the whole tournament?
There are a lot of good ones. I mean, from the very start, when Brazil was singing the national anthem before the first game, and they carried on after the music stopped, the whole crowd were doing that, and they did that every game. I really like that. For me, probably the best moment, because I'm such a big fan of Messi, was Messi in the Maracanã against Bosnia, winning the game for his side with a wonder goal, and just the best player in the world performing on the best stage of the world, in the best stadium in the world. For me, that was the moment of the tournament. Would have been even better if he could go on and lift the trophy, in my view, but for me, that was a great moment.
I won't go David Luiz's free kick. I mean, he had taking account the couple of the last games, he had a horror, unfortunately, but his free kick top corner, it wasn't just a free kick, which was in itself was exceptional, but it was afterwards when it was a celebration. It was like everything erupted, and his celebration, you could tell how much it meant to him, because he's a passionate guy. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with you. I mean, like you say, he was a complete flop in the semi-final and third place game, but that free kick and just the way it exploded afterwards and just the pure emotion, I thought that was just fantastic. Yeah.
Some other big moments, obviously the Holland thrashing Spain and Netherlands thrashing Brazil.
Yeah, the two complete demolitions.
Yeah, two massive shocks in the tournament.
I think both of them as well. The Spain one obviously came first, and it was. I mean, I'm going to admit, me and Pascal obviously had them to win the tournament. We did. I mean, coming into it, it was the biggest shock that they went out, and then for that to happen again in the Brazil one was more of a collapse, or because of the fact that they conceded. What was it? They were 5-0 down after 30 minutes or something. So it was just
that Brazil game was probably the most unbelievable match of football I've ever watched.
Yeah,
I think
you can't.
The capitulation. I would say contextually that is the worst defensive performance I've ever seen.
I don't think we'll ever see anything quite like that again in our lives. Like the way it just happened. I mean, I just saying it now, 7-1. It just.
This World Cup's been so memorable for so many different reasons, but I honestly think that will be the most memorable thing of all.
The thing you got to think as well. I mean, results like that can happen, but okay, Thiago Silva was injured, but you got David Luiz, £50 million defender, and Dante, who's won the Champions League, he's won league titles. I mean, these aren't bad defenders we're talking about. These are top. I mean, Marcelo won the Champions League last season. Maicon, he shouldn't have been in the team for me. He should have been Dani Alves. But these are top players, top professionals, and the fact that it went so far south so quickly was incredible, wasn't it?
In terms of shocks, I'd also give a word to Costa Rica getting to the quarterfinals. Did not
Definitely
expect them to get
surprise
through.
team.
Yeah, I had them down as whipping boys.
Yeah,
so.
you had them down as I think they weren't expected to get the group. Obviously, they were in the group with 3 former World Cup winners, weren't they? And the fact they got out of the group, and it was sort of, I think when we was previewing the last 16 games, none of us really expected them more against Greece. But any further than that, we thought we expected them to go out, didn't we? But they just kept coming back, and people like Brian Ruiz and that, and people just kept performing. They were great.
Just all in all, great World Cup though, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Brilliant.
Anyway, that's all we've got time for today. Thanks for watching.